We've got an action-packed lineup in store for you this week, including stories on the Winter Olympics and using nuclear bombs to frack natural gas. Plus, Bree has a look at your Thon weekend forecast and a look at a winter update from the state climatologist. All this and more, whether or not, starts right now. And a warm welcome to you wherever you are. Welcome to this week's edition of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Jake Langedyk.
And I'm your forecaster, Bree Guy.
Well, Bree, a big weekend ahead of us. Thon 2018 on the horizon. If you're going to be inside like I am most of the weekend, you're not going to be able to enjoy the weather. But what are we going to see over the weekend?
Yes, I will be inside, but we're going to see like a little snow Saturday, clearing out Saturday night into Sunday morning. Very calm on Friday, lower temps though still. So if you're inside, that's good. But clearing out Saturday. So unfortunately, won't be able to experience that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an exciting weekend anyways at Thon.
We'll see what kind of surprises Bree has in her forecast in just a few minutes. But first, here is a look at nature in the news. When I was in preschool, I remember one of my favorite times of the day was going outside for recess. It's common knowledge that even just a few minutes spent outside of the classroom per day is very beneficial for developing minds, which is why nature-based preschools are common across Germany and Scandinavia. This concept is slowly but surely being adopted by schools here in the United States. There are now over 250 nature-based preschools in the U.S. That's a 2/3 increase since 2017, according to Public Radio International. Nature advocate Richard Louv believes that time spent outside does wonders for young children and cites increased test scores, improved physical fitness, better hand-eye coordination, and more improved cognitive functioning. Louv also believes that spending time with good old Mother Nature helps children gain a better understanding of the world around them, especially with climate change being the major concern. He says, it's very hard to protect something if you don't learn to love it. It's impossible to learn to love it if you've never experienced it. If outdoor time is limited, or if nature-based schools aren't available in your area, Louv suggests even simple activities, like picking up rocks and seeing what's living underneath, or lying flat on your stomach and seeing what's between the blades of grass can make a positive impact on how children view nature.
This past week, people around the world are celebrating the Day of Love and giving out I Heart Yous. However, we aren't the only ones who need a little love in our life. It turns out that penguins also want to spread the love during a long-standing tradition at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. The animal, which is one of the most social and stays in large colonies, are similar to humans where they practice courtships and mating. They aren't afraid to do whatever it takes to get the attention of one that they are smitten with, displaying unique visual and vocal behavior. During the event, biologists hand out hearts and penguins grab them with their beaks and take them back to their nest. It is most often the males who grab the hearts and then carry it back to their mates. They then make it a part of their nest, signifying the love that they have for each other. This program is a part of the Academy's incentive to increase the African penguin population, for it is endangered.
You might have heard about an outlandish proposal to drop nuclear bombs inside of hurricanes to weaken them, but have you ever thought about using these exact same bombs to frack natural gas? Well, believe it or not, back in 1966, Columbia Gas and the Atomic Energy Commission set about on Project Catch. This multi-year-long study focused on the feasibility of setting off a bomb with the equivalent of 20,000 tons of TNT between the borders of Centre County and Clinton County, almost a mile underground. Project Catch was an offshoot of another endeavor, Project Gas Buggy, which looked at a similar proposal in New Mexico. The goal was to not only extract natural gas, but also create an underground chamber where this gas can be stored under pressure. Governor Raymond Schaefer gave Project Catch the green light in 1967, but after the project was leaked, residents in the towns of Renovo, Lock Haven, and State College even voiced their displeasure with the experiment. Their most glaring concerns were about potential earthquakes and radioactivity in the area. It wasn't until 1968 that the project was officially shelved, after public outlash as well as a failed experiment in New Mexico. Rest assured, natural companies have come up with more efficient but still harmful ways to extract natural gas in our area even 50 years later.
The Winter Olympics are finally here, and some exciting things have been happening, including a couple of gold medals for the U.S. so far. Yet, are many favorite winter sports at risk? It has been shown through a study on Winter Olympic sites reliability that many places that were reliable over the past 30 years may not be by 2041 if temperatures continue to rise at the rate scientists predict. Many have suggested increasing artificial snowmaking, however there are limits to this. First, you still need cold enough air for the water to turn into snow. Secondly, artificial snow limits athletes both in training time and actual performance. Olympic cross-country skier Jessie Diggins explains that artificial snow makes athletes move faster because it gets icy, which has been and can be even more so in the future dangerous to athletes. It can also do the opposite and make athletes go slower when they need to gain speed for specific movements. Another problem is that you can't put a mountain indoors, which is needed for different events. Many Olympic athletes have the luxury of traveling to necessary places for training. However, they worry the younger generation will not be able to have this luxury, for many get their first taste of winter sports locally, opportunities which could eventually disappear altogether. Hello everyone, I'm here with your Thon weekend forecast. There is a cold front moving in early Friday morning, coupled with this moisture flowing in from the south will bring us rain throughout the day. Just north of us, there's a mixture of rain and snow, and we'll actually be seeing that late Friday night going into Saturday morning. A few flurries throughout the day on Saturday, but nothing to worry about, especially if you're going to be inside this Thon weekend. This low pressure system to the south of us will keep this moisture here throughout the entire weekend, and luckily for us, with this high pressure system moving in, we'll have a clear day on Sunday. This drizzle still staying to the south of us, but as for State College, on Friday we'll be seeing a high of 47, which is much above normal for this time of year. There will be rain and it will be cloudy. Friday night it will drop significantly to 18 degrees. There will be a couple of flurries. It'll be mostly cloudy. Saturday, this mixture will stay into rain and snow with a high of 33. And then on Sunday, it will clear out and we'll have a partly sunny day with a high of 42. I will be back with my extended forecast, but first, Andy has a feature on how the winter has been thus far.
It's the middle of February and we're only a few weeks away from meteorological spring. And with that, it's time to get a check on how our temperatures and snowfall are comparing to average. To do that, we spoke with Pennsylvania State climatologist Kyle Imhoff. Last week's storm reminded us that winter is far from over. But winter has plenty of catching up to do, at least here in State College. As of February 14th, total seasonal snowfall currently stands at about 19 inches, well below our average snowfall of 28 inches.
So currently right now we have about 18 inches of snow here in State College that's basically from the beginning of meteorological winter, which is December 1st through today. So that would be about a half of a foot below normal. For us to really get a lot of snow, we really need to have a southern stream energy that we call it, so that when the jet stream, you have a northern branch and a southern branch, when they phase in the eastern U.S., we tend to get some nice snows if you get the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic. This year we've had a lot of northern branch systems, really fast moving systems, west-east flow, like you were mentioning, so downsloping. That doesn't help us at all. So we get some, an inch or two of snow here or there, but then we get a period of, really cold weather that's really dry air, so you can't get a lot of snow in those kind of situations. So a lot of fast moving northern branch systems and not a lot of southern stream energy, that moisture that you need for really heavy snowfalls here in State College. So that's what it's been.
The same doesn't go for everywhere. Northwest Pennsylvania has seen above average snowfall this season, with Erie breaking its all-time seasonal snowfall record. Most of this is attributed to the massive amounts of lake effect snow earlier in the season.
Definitely northwestern Pennsylvania's experience. The lake effect belt, the snow belts that you would expect, have really been under the gun for a lot of the snow that we've seen this season across the state, really. And that's simply because of the fact that we've had some really good shots of cold air, some really cold air coming through, and the lakes were warmer, at least early in the season, so that resulted in a lot of, lake effect snow in the areas where you would expect it. But beyond that, once you go to the south and east into the Piedmont, down into the Philly region, they've seen barely any snow. And that's simply because there just hasn't been the moisture as well as the cold air in place in order to get the snows that you would need in those areas.
While snow has been lacking here in central Pennsylvania, the cold certainly has not. The average temperature since January 1st has been over 3 degrees below the normal of 27.6 degrees.
Now this mild air that comes in for the season from till the end of February, we'll see if it ends up being below normal. But yeah, we are still a few degrees Fahrenheit below normal for the winter season.
An active pattern will soon turn into a more April-like setup, with well above temperatures expected across the East Coast in the coming week, a complete flip of the first half of winter.
For much of the winter, we were in a trough here in the east and a big ridge out west. Well, now we're going to see some ridging building really across much of the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to be in a southwesterly flow on the west side of the ridge, which is going to make it very mild around here over the next at least 7 to 10 days, maybe beyond that, depending if that ridge can stay stationary for a period of time.
Even with an overall warming trend expected over the next 10 days, Kyle says not to let your guard down, as climatologically the worst snows typically come in March.
March tends to be it's a period of transition, which is actually good for storm development. You get that clash of cold air masses and warm air masses as you start to get some warmer air starting to enter back into the mid latitudes from the cold of winter. So when you get those clashes, you tend to get some large storms developing. And if we can get the cold air in place here in the Northeast, we tend to get some of our heaviest snowfalls, some of our strongest snowstorms in March and in early April at the latest.
There is one thing to look forward to: longer days and later sunsets. In the month of March, State College gains nearly an hour and a half of daylight, a welcome sight for those who have missed the 7 o'clock sunsets.
So right now, we're getting sunsets between 5 and 5:30 roughly. Now with the daylight savings time, we're going to shift an hour, so then we'll start to see sunsets 6:30, 7 o'clock. But that's obviously important because the longer your days are, the more sunlight you have, the more you get a chance to warm up during the day, as well as melt snow if you do get any snow. So snow tends not to stick around in March and April, just simply because the days are longer. So you get that later sun into the early evening, mid-evening. So that definitely changes the dynamic of how snow can stick around, basically.
One thing is for sure, and that's that it's been a fairly uneventful winter so far in State College. While several weeks still remain, time is quickly running out to accumulate more snow.
Generally, people would remember it as a relatively cold winter, but relatively dry. So that's the big thing. Not a lot of snow, but we had plenty of cold this year, so that's the big takeaway.
As Kyle said, by no means does winter end on March 1st, as March can bring numerous snowstorms and plenty of surprises. For Whether or Not, I'm Andy Moffitt.
Hello everyone, I'm back with your extended forecast, but first let's look at the weekend recap. There will be rain on Friday, however there will be a high of 47, which is almost 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. This will drop significantly to 18 degrees for a rain and snow mix will move into the area late Friday night going into Saturday morning. There will be a few flurries Saturday, however it's nothing to worry about, especially if you're going to be inside like me this long weekend. The snow will not stick. There will be a high of 33 and a low of 25. The snow and rain mix will start to move out going into Saturday night. Sunday will have partly sunny conditions with a high of 42 and a low of 28. However, the rain will come back on early next week and it will stay until the middle of the week. We'll have cloudy conditions with a few showers here and there. But their temperatures are going to start to rise significantly, and then on Wednesday we're going to be about 20 degrees above normal. Going into Thursday, temperatures start to drop, however, not by much. We'll have cloudy conditions, and then on Friday, we'll finally get to see some peaks of sunshine, and temperatures will be about 45 degrees, mid-40s.
Well, thank you very much, Bree. It looks like I might be able to put away that heavy winter coat for another week, would you say?
Yes, I wouldn't put away for good, though, but next week there are going to be above normal temperatures, so you may get away with it. But, of course, anything can happen in these next couple of months.
That's right.
I wouldn't take away the chance of snow anytime soon.
Yeah, March next month tends to be our heaviest snowfall of this year. And speaking of which, early in the show we asked you, what year had the highest March snowfall on record? Was it A, 1902, B, 1942, C, 1993, or D, 1994? If you guessed B, you are correct. In the month of March 1942, State College received 47.5 inches of snow, with over 30 inches falling within just 2 days. This is the most snow to fall in any single month since records have been kept.
March of 1993 falls closely behind in second place with 42.4 inches, so still a lot of snowfall.
Yeah, I would have said 1993 too, but because of Superstorm 93, but sometimes you live and you learn. That's the way things roll. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Jake Langedyk.
And I'm your forecaster, Bree Guy.
Have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen.